What if everything you've lost still lives somewhere inside you? Not as memory, but as dormant possibility. What if 12 minutes of silence were enough for that time to breathe again? You've been running for years, not because you're in a hurry, but because you've forgotten how to stop. Life has become a sequence of stacked tasks, obligations filling the space between one absence and the next. And time, that inner time, was slowly buried. First by duties, then by fear, finally by exhaustion. But it didn't die, it only went quiet. And now, almost without strength, it whispers, "I'm still here, listen to me." There's a chair on the porch you no longer use. A book paused on page 23. A song you used to love that now feels like it belonged to another body. These are traces of a time that still lives in you, but that you stopped visiting. Out of fear, out of grief, out of forgetting what it meant to feel fully alive. The narrative of urgency taught us to measure time by productivity. But there is another time. The time of gestures with no purpose, of glances that don't rush, of listening with no end. That time still exists. It only waits for space, for ritual, for pause. 12 minutes is enough. Less than an episode of a series, more than what the world gives you daily. 12 minutes, and maybe, just maybe, you'll remember your life is still there, waiting for you to return to it. You didn't lose time. You simply stopped feeling it. And that's different because real time, the time that lives inside, isn't measured in minutes, but in presence. And presence is exactly what you've been avoiding. Not people, not responsibilities, but the kind of presence that forces you to hear what's been quiet for too long. Time became functional. The alarm rings, the day moves forward, tasks get done, you handle it all. But something remains out of sync, like a heart beating to a forgotten rhythm. When was the last time you sat without urgency? Listened to a song all the way through? Walked with no headphones, no screen, no destination? You haven't forgotten time, but your body forgot how to inhabit it. And now, you live behind yourself. The kettle cools before tea is poured. The sun shifts outside the window and you don't notice. Life is happening. But you aren't. You're functioning, surviving efficiently, and losing, day by day, the chance to meet the time that is still yours. Maybe you don't need advice, maybe you need a reminder. There is still time inside you, alive, intact, just waiting for your return. If that time still pulses in you, write, "I want to feel my time again." Sometimes naming the distance is the first step to closing it. There is a part of you that never sped up, not even with the years, the deadlines, the noise. A part that still walks like a child watching ants on the sidewalk, like an elder savoring the silence between heartbeats. It never learned urgency. It never obeyed the logic of goals. It still measures time in shadows, not seconds. And though you've stopped listening to it, it's still there, moving slowly inside you, waiting for your return. You've silenced it, not on purpose, but because the world demanded speed. And to keep up, you abandoned your slowest self, the one that could stand still in the wind, the one that heard more than it spoke, the one that rested while watching the sky. Now, even when your body stops, your mind doesn't. You check, you calculate, you prepare the next step. You're always slightly ahead of the moment, and because of that, you're never fully in it. Your soul is tired, not of work, but of not being felt. It wasn't made to be fast. It was made to observe, to wonder, to remember. And now, out of sync, you feel the symptoms. Sleep that doesn't heal, joy that doesn't last, days that pass too quickly, and nights that don't hold you. You're here, but not quite. Alive, but delayed from your own rhythm. You don't need to return to childhood, but you do need to return to the part of you that never left it. That part is still waiting, in slowness, in silence, in the place where time is not measured but inhabited. You got here. You did everything they asked of you. You succeeded, delivered, survived. But something in you still hasn't arrived. It's as if your body moved forward, and your soul stayed behind, in a different time, in a different rhythm, waiting for you to come back for it. You feel it in the small resistances, in your discomfort with silence, in the anxiety that appears with no clear source, in the way your body is present, but your heart is still searching for something unnamed. You've achieved so much. But why does it all feel distant? Why does joy slip through your hands and rest feel like guilt? What is this ache of not being where you are? The answer isn't out there. It's in the space between what you do and what you feel while doing it. Your body adapted. It kept going. But your soul was never asked if it was ready to keep up. And now, this delay between parts of you begins to ache. Not loudly, but constantly. The time that got you here was external. The time that can bring you back is internal. And you don't need more hours. You need presence. You need the sacred act of pausing, not to quit, but to wait for yourself, to call your soul gently, to invite it back into your skin. If something in you stayed behind, write, "I'm going back to find myself." Sometimes just admitting the separation begins the reunion. Then one day, without ceremony or audience, you stop. Not because everything is solved, but because something inside you refuses to keep moving without soul. You turn off the noise, sit, and for the first time in a long while, you listen. Not to thoughts, not to voices, but to a time that never left, only waited. It lives in a house deep inside you, one you've forgotten how to reach. The path is overgrown, the windows are dusty, but the door is still unlocked. You walk in, slowly. The floor creaks, light filters through old curtains. Everything smells of memory, and something else, recognition. This is your time, the time of stillness, the time that didn't vanish, only retreated. You don't rush, you don't explain, you simply sit, inside yourself. And in that sacred pause, something arrives. The part of you that never asked to be fast, the one that stayed behind. It doesn't need apologies, it only needs space. And now, you give it that. In silence, in breath, in the act of stopping. Not as failure, but as reunion. Nothing outside may have changed, but inside, a rhythm returns. Your pulse, once rushed, begins to settle. Your presence, once scattered, begins to gather. You didn't need more time. You just needed to remember the time that still lives in you, untouched, unbroken, waiting to be inhabited again. When you slow down, time begins to live in you again. If something in this video made you pause, and even for a moment, let that pause become your ritual. Don't rush away. Don't click on the next thing. Stay here. Breathe once more. Feel the silence behind your ribs. That's you, returning. Save this moment. Come back to it when life begins to press too hard, when you forget who you are under all the doing. Here, you are not asked to perform. You are simply allowed to be. In the comments, leave a trace of your time, a memory that holds you, a word that slows you down, a gesture that once felt sacred. Others will read, and something invisible will be restored, in you and in them. Share this video with someone who forgot how to pause. Subscribe if something in you still longs to feel time, not pass it. Here, every minute is an invitation to return home. It's not too late. The time that lives in you is still waiting to be lived.